useless Sybil in the history of oracular revelation. And Granny couldn't be having it all with Nanny Hogg, who was her best friend.
What about young Margaret?
Said old Mother Dismas innocently.
Her patch runs right alongside Desideratas. Maybe she could take on a bit extra.
Granny Weatherwax and Nanny Hogg exchanged glances. She's gone funny in the head, said Granny. Oh, now come on, Esme, said Nanny Hogg. Well, I call it funny, said Granny. You can't tell me that saying all that stuff about relatives isn't going funny in the head. Oh, she didn't say that, said Nanny. She said she wanted to relate to herself. That's what I said, said Granny Weatherwax. I told her Simplicity Garlic was your mother, Araminta Garlic was your granny, Yolanda Garlic's your aunt, and you're me. And she sat back with the satisfied look of someone who has solved everything anyone could ever want to know about a personal identity crisis. She wouldn't listen, she added.
But who is me?
Gammer Brevis wrinkled her forehead.
Magrat?
She said. She tried to get a mental picture of the Ramtop's youngest witch and recalled, well, not a face, just a slightly watery-eyed expression of hopeless goodwill wedged between a body like a maypole and hair like a haystack after a gale. A relentless doer of good works, a worrier, the kind of person who rescued small, lost baby birds and cried when they died, which is the function kind old Mother Nature usually reserves for small, lost baby birds.
Doesn't sound like her,
she said. She said she wanted to be more self-assertive, said Granny. Well, there's nothing wrong with being self-assertive, said Nanny. Self-asserting is what witches is all about. I never said there was anything wrong with it, said Granny. I told her there was nothing wrong with it. You can be as self-assertive as you like, I said, just as long as you do what you're told.
Rub this on and it'll clear up in a week or two,
said old Mother Dismas.
Lord.
The other three witches watched her expectantly, in case there was going to be anything else, but it became clear there was not. And she's running. What's that she's running, Goethe? Said Granny. Oh, it's self-defense classes, said Nanny.
But she's a witch.
Gammer Brevis pointed out. I told her that, said Granny Weatherwax, who had walked nightly without fear in the bandit-haunted forests of the mountains all her life, in the certain knowledge that the darkness held nothing more terrible than she was. She said that wasn't the point.
Josh.
Wasn't the point, is what she said. Well, no one goes to those classes anyway, said Nanny Hogg.
I thought she was going to get married to the king,
said Gammer Brevis. Oh, everyone did, said Nanny. But you know Magrat, she tends to be open to ideas. And now she says she refuses to be a sex object. They all thought about this. Finally, Gammer Brevis said, slowly, in the manner of one surfacing from the depths of fascinated cogitation.
but she's never been a sex object.
I am pleased to say I don't even know what a sex object is, said Granny Weatherwax firmly. Oh, I do, said Nanny Hogg. They looked at her. Our Shane, he brought one home from foreign parts once. They carried on looking at her. He was brown and fat and had beads on and a face.
What?
And 2 holes for the string. This did not seem to avert their gaze. Well, that's what he said it was, said Nanny.
I think you're talking about a fertility idol.
Said Gammer Brevis helpfully. Granny shook her head. It doesn't sound much like Magrat to me.
You can't tell me that's worth tuppence,
said old Mother Dismas, from whatever moment of time she was currently occupying. No one was ever quite sure which it was. It was an occupational hazard for those gifted with second sight. The human mind is not really designed to be sent rocketing backward and forward along the great freeway of time, and can become, as it were, detached from its anchorage, seeing randomly into the past and the future, and only occasionally into the present. Old Mother Dismas was temporarily unfocused. This meant that if you spoke to her in August, she was probably listening to you in March. And it was best just to say something now and hope she would pick it up next time her mind was passing through. Granny waved her hands experimentally in front of old Mother Dismas's unseeing eyes. Yep, she's gone again, she said.
Well, if Magrat can't take it over, there's Millie Hopgood from over Slice Way,
said Gammer Brevis.
She's a hard-working girl. Mind you, she's got a worse squint than Magrat.
Oh, there's nothing wrong with that. A squint looks good on a witch, said Granny Weatherwax. Oh, but you have to know how to use it, said Nanny Hogg. Old Gertie Simmons, she used to have a squint, and she was always putting an evil influence on the end of her own nose. We can't have people thinking that if you upset a witch, she curses and mutters and her own nose drops off. They all stared at the fire again.
I suppose Desiderata wouldn't have chosen her own successor.
Said Gamma Brevis. Well, you can't go doing that, said Granny Weatherwax. That's not how we do things in these parts.
Yes, but Desiderata didn't spend much time in these parts. It was the job. She was always going off to foreign parts.
I can't be having with foreign parts, said Granny Weatherwax. Oh, you been to want more pork, said Nanny mildly. That's foreign. No, it's not. It's just a long way off. It's not the same as foreign. Foreign's where they gabble at you in a heathen lingo, and eat foreign muck, and worship, objects, said Granny Weatherwax.
Yeah, like on Purple.
Said Granny Weatherwax, the goodwill diplomat. Foreign can be quite close too if you're not careful. Ha! She added witheringly. Oh yes, she could bring back just about anything from foreign parts. Oh yes, she brought me back a nice blue and white plate once, said Nanny Ogg.
That's a point.
Said Gamma Brevis.
Someone better go and see to her cottage. She had quite a lot of good stuff there. It'd be dreadful to think of some thief getting in there and having a rummage.
I can't imagine any thief would want to break into a witch... Granny began and then stopped abruptly. Oh yes, she said meekly. Oh, that is a good idea. I'll see to it directly. Oh, no, I'll see to it, said Nanny Ogg, who had also had time to work something out. Oh, it's right on my way home. It's not a problem. No, you'll be wanting to get home early, said Granny. Don't you bother yourself. It'd be no trouble. Oh, it won't be any trouble at all, said Nanny. You don't want to go tiring yourself out at your age, said Granny Weatherwax. They glared at one another,
I really don't see that it matters.
said Gamma Brevis.
You might as well go together rather than fight about it.
Well, I'm a bit busy tomorrow, said Granny. How about right after lunch? All right, said Nanny Ogg. We'll meet at a cottage right after lunch.
Which can be different times depending on when you have lunch.
We had one once, but the bit you unscrew fell off and got lost.
Said Old Mother Dismas. You suppose she was talking about sex objects?
Doubtful, but okay.
All right. What are you doing over there?
Who's gonna be this person? Should Josh do this person, or
This
does
is
Herker be someone?
Herker the Poacher, and he's got 5 words.
Okay, Josh, did you want to do it? Or what? No? Okay. You can just do one of your gruff English voices.
All right. Herker the Poacher shoveled the last of the earth into the hole. He felt he ought to say a few words. Well, that's about it then, he said. She had definitely been one of the better witches, he thought, as he wandered back to the cottage in the pre-dawn gloom. Some of the other ones, while of course being wonderful human beings, he added to himself hurriedly, as fine a bunch of women as you could ever hope to avoid, they were just a bit overpowering. Mistress Hollow had been a listening kind of person. On the kitchen table was a long package, a small pile of coins, and an envelope.
Boom, 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 boom.
He opened...
Josh, I just did the dramatic music.
That's
You are
great.
not allowed to do
That's
it.
great.
Fine, whatever. No, you're not allowed to do it just after I do it.
He opened the envelope, although it was not addressed to him. Inside was a smaller envelope and a note. And the note said, I'm watching you, Albert Herker. Deliver the package and the envelope, and if you dare take a peek inside, something dreadful will happen to you. As a professional good fairy godmother, I ain't allowed to curse anyone, but I predict it would probably involve being bitten by an enraged wolf and your leg going green and runny and dropping off. Don't ask me how I know. Anyway, you can't, because I'm dead. All the best, Desiderata. He picked up the package with his eyes shut. Light travels slowly in the Discworld's vast magical field, which means time does too. As Nanny Ogg would put it, when it's tea time in Genua, it's Tuesday over here. And in fact, it was dawn in Genua. Lilith sat in her tower, using a mirror, sending her own image out to scan the world. She was searching. Wherever there was a sparkle on a wave crest, wherever there was a sheet of ice, wherever there was a mirror or a reflection, then Lilith knew she could see out. You didn't need a magic mirror. Any mirror would do if you knew how to use it. And Lilith, crackling with the power of 1,000,000 images, knew that very well. There was just a nagging doubt. Presumably, Desiderata would have gotten rid of it. Her sort were like that, conscientious. And presumably it would be to that stupid girl with the watery eyes who sometimes visited the cottage, the one with all the cheap jewelry and the bad taste in clothes. She looked just the type. But Lilith wanted to be sure. She hadn't got where she was today without being sure. In puddles and windows all over Lonker, the face of Lilith appeared momentarily, and then moved on. And now it was dawn in Lonker. Autumn mists rolled through the forest. Granny Weatherwax pushed open the cottage door. It was not locked.
Oh, so she's not going after lunch.
No.
She went very, very
Well
much
before lunch.
before lunch.
Should
Before
probably go after
breakfast,
lunch,
actually.
That's right.
And Nanny's probably already there.
Yep.
It wasn't locked. The only visitor Desiderata had been expecting was not the sort to be put off by locks.
Whatever those things are.
She's had herself buried round the back, said Nanny Og. There was a voice behind her. Granny considered her next move. To point out that Nanny had come deliberately early, so as to search the cottage by herself, would then raise questions about Granny's own presence. She could, undoubtedly, answer them, given enough time, but on the whole it was probably best just to get on with things. Oh yes, she said, nodding. Always very neat in her ways, was Desiderata. Well, it was the job, said Nanny Og, pushing past her and eyeing the room's contents speculatively. You got to be able to keep track of things in a job like hers. By God, there's a bloody enormous cat. That's a lion, said Granny Weatherwax, looking at the stuffed head over the fireplace. Oh, must have hit the wall at a hell of a speed, whatever it was.
Oh my god.
No, someone killed it, said Granny Weatherwax, surveying the room. Oh, I should think so, said Nanny. If I'd seen something like that eating its way through the wall, I'd have hit it myself with the poker. Now there was of course no such thing as a typical witch's cottage, but if there was such a thing as a non-typical witch's cottage, this was certainly it. Apart from various glassy-eyed animal heads, the walls were covered in bookshelves and watercolor pictures. There was a spear in the umbrella stand.
Look, I'm making creepy music behind it.
Instead of the more usual earthenware and china on the dresser, there were foreign-looking brass pots and fine blue porcelain. There was not a dried herb anywhere in the place, but there were a great many books, most of them filled with Desiderata's small, neat handwriting. A whole table was covered with what were probably maps, meticulously drawn.
He's sleeping. Josh,
Yeah,
stop sleeping.
that's rude.
Descriptions are not
no.
boring.
Josh,
You took
wake
my
up.
hat off.
Granny Weatherwax